Good morning, everyone. We live in a day of artificial intelligence. And today, artificial intelligence is able to produce works, essays, do students' homework. And the question is, will AI take over, surpass mankind? Will there be no longer a need for mankind? And perhaps the answer is in this week's Torah portion. Second Torah portion that we read this Shabbat is Kedoshim, and it begins by saying, Kedoshim to you. There's a commandment that every Jew shall be holy. Now what does it mean to be holy? What it means to say is that we all have a divine soul, and God is telling us that we must be spiritual, holy, divine human beings. Thou shalt be spiritual, because your essence is your divine soul, which is a spiritual entity. And what distinguishes you from everything else in this world is that you have consciousness, because you have a divine soul, and therefore you can be spiritual and holy. And that is what the Torah is telling us. Yes, AI may be able to replace man in terms of functionality. It can mimic man. It can do things that man does, and it can do it much better at a much quicker pace. But the one thing that a computer will never be able to do, or any robot will ever be able to do, is be spiritual, be able to feel love and peace and happiness. That's a human feature. And that explains why the Torah doesn't just say, you shall be holy, but it's a prediction, you will be holy. And perhaps what the Torah is saying is, as Maimonides says, that in the end of days, the whole pursuit of mankind in the Messianic era will be just to know God, because as he quotes the verse, the earth will be filled with the knowledge of God. And perhaps what Maimonides is saying, what the Torah is predicting, is that there will come a day and age where man will not have to do many of the tasks and chores. More and more computers will be able to function and perform those human tasks. And therefore man will be free, as Maimonides say, to pursue the knowledge of God and a spiritual relationship with God, because that is the only advantage that a human being has over a computer. I am speaking to you now via Facebook. That is a human creation. And yes, it could record every single word and transmit it perfectly. But this device that I'm holding has no ability to think, to feel, to understand, and surely not to connect spiritually to the words that are being spoken. This is what the Torah says: be holy, be spiritual, be godly, be unique in the human realm, to not only have intelligence, because computers could have artificial intelligence, but have spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence, which is unique to mankind. A recent example of this was a documentary that was made, I think, by ESPN, called Running on Faith. It was about a high school kid by the name of Oliver Ferber. Oliver Ferber went to a Jewish day school in Rockland, Maryland, and he started to become more observant during the pandemic. And he started to observe Shabbat. And when it came to the state championship competition, his team made it into the competition. But he had a dilemma. It's Shabbat. It's a day of rest. I'm not allowed to be running in a race. And everyone tried to convince him, including his own parents, who said, do it for the Jewish people. A Jewish day school could win a state championship in a racing team. And he said, no, it's Shabbat, I can't. And he was in a Jewish day school that was racing on Shabbat. And the school was racing even though it was Shabbat. But ultimately decided to live by his convictions and not run. And he went to watch the race, but could not participate. And his team actually won the state championship. And he describes how he stood on the sidelines watching, but he was not a part of that victory. Well, he had one more chance in the next year, in his senior year of high school. And so he wrote a letter to the head of the competition, explained how difficult it was for him to sit out the race because of his observance. And he asked that they switch the race date to Sunday, something that had been declined many, many times in the past. But somehow his words pierced the heart of the judges and the organizers of the race, and they determined that yes, for this Jewish boy who cannot run in Shabbat, they will change the date to Sunday. And once again, his school made it into first place and was able to run in the state competition. And his team won, this time with him as a participant, being able to celebrate the victory because it was not Shabbat. That is what it means to be holy, to be spiritual, to be godly, to be divine, and to realize that yes, artificial creatures can also run races and win, but only a human being with a soul can say, it's Shabbat, I'm going to choose to listen to my godly soul and rest on the day of Shabbat and keep the commandment of the holiness of Shabbat, and even if it means forfeiting a victory. And sure enough, the next year he won, but this time he won on his terms, not betraying his own values and principles and his godly soul. Have a wonderful day.